Turn your enemies into a sheep, or turn them into stone. Maybe you want to turn yourself into a gas cloud so you can escape a sticky situation. Or just make yourself bigger or smaller. Hey guys, Omaha here, and today I'm going to show you every single spell from the Transmutation School of Magic. So we're going to start off with our Cantrips, and for our first one we have Thaumaturgy. Gain advantage on intimidation and performance checks, and that'll be for 10 turns. So you can use this spell before you go into a conversation, or you can just enter the conversation and use it then. Here there's an intimidation check, so I'll use that one. It'll show one die. Down here it'll show add bonus. You click that, and then there's Thaumaturgy. So you click that, it'll change it to 2 dice. Roll it. It'll use the higher value, which is 12. And so I pass the check. Next up we have Thorn Whip. This will do 3 to 18 piercing damage, and it'll pull the creature 10 feet closer to you. The target can't be pulled if it's huge in size. And then finally we have Shillelagh. Your staff or club becomes magical. It deals 4 to 11 bludgeoning damage and uses your spellcasting ability for attack rolls. Attack rolls are what determine whether you hit or not. It has to match or exceed the target's armor class. And then your spellcasting ability is different for every class. So for Druid, it's going to be Wisdom, Warlocks, Bards, Paladins, and stuff. It's Charisma. Wizards can be Intelligence. And this is going to last 10 turns, and it's actually a bonus action. So there's that. Moving on to our level 1 spells, we have Create or Destroy Water. Call forth rain or destroy a water-based surface, which gives you 2 actions. First one's creating the water. It extinguishes exposed flames and forms a water surface. It has an AoE of 13 feet, and upcasting is going to increase it by about 7 feet each time. So there's level 1, there's level 6. Pretty big AoE. So let's do level 1. Put out this fire here. There's your water surface. Put out these candles in the fire there. It gives Shadowheart the wet condition. So she's prevented from burning, resistant to fire damage, and vulnerable to lightning and cold damage. So she'll take half damage from fire and double damage from lightning and cold. This water surface is going to last permanently, and you could actually cast a cold spell to create an ice surface, or alternatively cast a lightning spell to create an electrified water surface, which deals 1 to 4 lightning damage per turn. And then there's your Destroy Water. Cause water-based surfaces such as water, steam, ice, blood, and poison to vanish. So here I've got ice and I've got water on the ground. And they're both gone. Next we have Good Berry. Conjure 4 magical berries into you or a companion's inventory. Creatures who eat a berry regain 1 to 4 hit points. Berries disappear after a long rest. And upcasting is not going to get you any additional benefits, so I'll use it on myself. Go to my inventory, and here you'll see I have 4 good berries. Next we have Enhanced Leap. Triple a creature's jumping distance for 10 turns. So you can target yourself or you can target an ally. Here's my jumping range normally. If I use that on myself, triples it, so now I can go all the way out there. Then upcasting is not going to grant you any benefits. Also a ritual spell, so casting it outside of combat is not going to use a spell slot. Next is Long Strider. Increase a creature's movement speed by 10 feet until a long rest. And this is also a ritual spell. Upcasting, you can affect an additional target per level. So 1 target at level 1, up to 6 at level 6. So I could even use it on the enemy if I wanted to. Might as well. I'll use level 2, and me and him. So normally I can move about 36 feet. This will get me up to 46 feet. Next up is Expeditious Retreat. Gain dash immediately and as a bonus action on each of your turns until the spell ends. The Expeditious Retreat will last until a long rest. It's also a concentration spell, so if you're hit, you have a chance of your concentration breaking, and so it won't be in effect anymore. And this uses a bonus action. So I use it on myself. Now I have dash, so I can move again. I wasn't able to move previously. And back to my turn. You'll see I have dash down here again as a bonus action. And for our last level 1, we have Featherfall. You and nearby allies gain immunity to falling damage for 10 turns. This is a bonus action, and it's a ritual spell as well. So normally if I jump down here, I would take 5 HP damage. Here's the range of Featherfall. Upcasting is not going to grant any additional benefits, so I'll use that. And then you see if I jump, I take no damage at all. If any allies are within that range, they won't take damage as well. All right, moving on to our level 2 spells. We'll start out with Knock. Unlock an object that is held shut by a mundane lock. And upcasting is not going to do anything extra. Over here, we got a very mundane looking rusted iron gate that's locked. So I'll cast that. And voila. It's unlocked. Next up, we have Dark Vision. Grant a creature the ability to see in the dark out to a range of 40 feet until a long rest. So there, I use it on myself. And now I have Dark Vision. Magic Weapon. Infuse a weapon with arcane energy. The weapon becomes magical, receiving a +1 bonus to attack rolls and damage rolls. So you'll have a higher chance of hitting and you'll do more damage. And that'll last until a long rest, and it's a concentration spell. So when you upcast, this one's a little bit different. If you cast it at level 4 or 5, it'll change it to a +2 bonus. And then at level 6, it'll be a +3 bonus. So let's cast it at level 2. Now see here, my staff Has weapon enchantment +1. Here I did level 6, so you'll see it's now 3 to 10 damage, and it has the +3 weapon enchantment. Enlarge/reduce. Make a creature larger or smaller to affect their weapon damage and strength checks and saving throws. This is a concentration spell, so there's 2 versions. There's enlarge and reduce, obviously. Enlarge is going to make your unarmed and weapon attacks do an additional 1 to 4 damage, and you'll have advantage on strength checks and saving throws, so you're going to roll 2 dice and use the higher value. And that'll last 10 turns. And it makes you a big boy. And the other side of that is reduce. So you'll do 1 to 4 less damage, and you'll have disadvantage on strength checks and saving throws. So they'll roll 2 dice and use the lower value. And that'll make you tiny. Bark Skin. Protect a creature from attacks, increase its armor class up to 16 until a long rest. This is a concentration spell. So here you'll see my armor class is 12. Upcasting is not going to do anything extra. Use that on myself. And there I've got 16 armor class. Next up is Enhance Ability. Bestow a magical enhancement upon an ally to get advantage on an ability check with the chosen ability. It's a concentration spell. So there's Bear, which gives you advantage on constitution checks and 7 temporary hit points. I'll do that myself right now. So down here on the bottom left, you'll see I have 7 with a little heart. Those are my temporary hit points. We've also got Bull's Strength. So that's going to give you advantage on strength checks, and carrying capacity will be doubled. Right here, carrying capacity of 280. Use that on myself. Now I'm at 560. There's Cat's Grace, which does advantage on dexterity checks, and you only take half damage from falling. Eagle's Splendor, we get advantage on charisma checks. Just like before, you can go into a conversation. You can click add bonus, and then there's Eagle's Splendor right there. So it'll roll 2 dice and use the higher value. Then you've got Fox's Cunning, so that'll give you advantage on intelligence checks. And then finally, there's Owl's Wisdom, which gives you advantage on wisdom checks. So all those last until a long rest. And then upcasting for all of them is going to affect additional target per level. So all the way to level 6, you can affect up to 5 targets with it. Heat Metal. This will do 2 to 16 fire damage, cause a metal weapon or armor to glow red hot, and force its wearer to let go or receive disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. So that'll roll 2 dice and use the lower value, and they're going to have a way harder time hitting you. If the creature's only wearing metal armor, it will always receive disadvantage. If the creature's still touching the metal, you can use a bonus action on subsequent turns to do another 2 to 16 fire damage and force the creature to let go or receive disadvantage. So this will go on for 10 turns, and it's a concentration spell. If you upcast, it'll do an additional 1 to 8 fire damage per level. So at level 6, you'll do up to 6 to 48 damage. So there he dropped his weapon. Apparently this guy's armor isn't metal. Looks like metal to me. But if it was, I'd be able to click reapply damage right here, and it would just deal a 2 to 16 fire damage on him again. But yeah, see here it says target must be metal. And then finally we have Spike Growth. This will do 2 to 8 damage, piercing. So you'll shape a piece of ground into hard spikes. Movement is halved. Creatures walking on the spikes take 2 to 8 piercing damage for every 5 feet it moves. This lasts 100 turns. And it's a concentration spell. This is one of my favorite spells. This spell is super slept on. So there's the AoE. Cast it right there. And then they can just come and get it whenever they're ready. Hopefully they don't shoot me with the bow, though. Here it comes. 4, 2, 4. And dead. 18 HP right there. And upcasting the spell, by the way, doesn't give you any additional benefits. Yeah, this spell is so good for locking down choke points. Like, even later on, when people just have a 10 of HP, it's still a good spell to use. Moving on to level 3, for our first one, we have Grant Flight. Bestow the ability to fly upon yourself or an ally. So that'll last 10 turns. It's a concentration spell, so if you get hit, you might lose it. If you upcast, you can hit an additional target per level. So at level 6, you can hit up to 4 targets, get your whole party to fly. I'll just use it on myself. Down here, you'll have an action, fly, up to 60 feet. And that's just going to use movement speed, so that's kind of your range right there. And you can just get to crazy, hard-to-reach areas. Plant Growth. Make weeds burst from the ground and smother the area. Creatures moving through the weeds have their movement speed quartered. That'll be for 10 turns and has area effect of 20 feet. If you upcast, it doesn't do anything extra. It's kind of similar to Spike Growth, but without the damage and double the penalty to movement. And that's it. That's all he can move this entire turn. Next up is Elemental Weapon, and keep in mind this one's only going to be on the Paladin. So imbue a weapon with elemental power. It receives a +1 bonus to attack rolls and deals an additional 1 to 4 damage of your choice. It's a concentration spell too. So I already have lightning on this. I used it right before I started recording. But there's Acid. They all give you a +1 to attack roll, and this will add 1 to 4 acid damage. Then there's Cold, which will add 1 to 4 cold. Fire, which will add 1 to 4 fire. Lightning for 1 to 4 lightning. And Thunder for 1 to 4 thunder. If I go to my weapon, you'll see the 1 to 4 acid damage right there. And you can't upcast this because level 3 is as high as it goes. Also, when you use this, it doesn't have to be on your weapon. You can actually use it on like an ally's weapon or something too. But right now I have fire on mine, so if I swing, damage him, 10 normal damage, and 3 fire damage. So if you find an enemy that's vulnerable to a certain type of like elemental damage, that would be a really good situation to use it. Lightning arrow. This one's only going to be on the ranger class. So this will do 6 to 48 lightning damage. After the arrow hits, smaller bolts snake out from the target toward nearby creatures. And on a save, they're still going to take half damage. So I did 10 and 17 on him. He was saved. He took 5 damage, and he took the full 10. Haste. Target yourself or an ally to become hastened, gain an action, become faster, and get +2 bonus to armor class for 10 turns. So the hastened effect in more detail. So you're going to get a +2 to armor class. You're going to get advantage on your dexterity saving throws, so your roll 2 dice use higher value. Your movement speed will be doubled, and you can take an additional action per turn. Once this ends, you'll become lethargic, so you're not going to be able to move or take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. It's also a concentration spell. And if you upcast, it doesn't give you anything extra. There's the range for it. Use it on myself. So I used an action to use that spell, and now I have 1 more action because of the haste. So that was my second action. And then I can move twice as far as before. And then my armor class is now 13. It was 11. I got the +2 from hastened right there. So if I end my turn, come back to my turn, down here you'll see I have 2 actions. Moving on to our one and only level 4 spell, we have Polymorph. Transform a creature into a harmless sheep. If the sheep's hit points drop to 0, the target reverts to its original form with its original hit points. So there'll be a sheep for 5 turns, but it's also a concentration spell. Upcasting is not going to do anything extra for you. Boom, he's a sheep. So he's got 3 HP, and he's a sheep for 5 turns. Let me end my turn. So he's just gonna do nothing. And then if I destroy him... Okay. Alright. If I destroy him... He goes back to original hit points, but your spell will go through the sheep's HP into his original form's HP. So I did, how much damage did I do? 11. So that's why he lost the 8 up top, because he lost 3 from the sheep, and then he lost 8 from his second form. All right, for level 5, we only have 1 spell again. This one's going to be Telekinesis. Throw a creature or object up to 60 feet with a thought. Once per turn, you can use Telekinesis again without expending a spell slot. Heavier items deal more damage. So this will go on for 10 turns, or until you break your concentration. And then upcasting won't grant any additional benefits. So here I'll use it on him. I'll just throw him all the way over here. There, he took 6 damage. And then here, you can see it's on the bottom right. All it's going to take is an action now. It's not going to use another level 5 spell slot. Throw a shovel at him. For 2 damage. Nice. Now I'm going to try grabbing this guy and throwing him down here to his death. And there we go. He died. That guy, and throw him at that guy. Then I can take this fractured stalactite up here, and I'll throw it at that guy. 10 damage, not bad. All right, moving on to our heavy hitters, the level 6 spells. So first off, we have Windwalk. Transform yourself and all nearby party members into tiny clouds of mist to avoid attacks. This is like gaseous form, but it's for your whole party. You become resistant to non-magical damage, so you'll take half damage from anything that isn't magic. Gain advantage on Constitution, Dexterity, and Strength saving throws, and you'll become tiny in size. And that's gonna last until a long rest. And while transformed, you can't attack, cast spells, or talk. So there's the range. And now we are all gas, and we can all fly. And then you also get the unarmed attack, which supposedly does 1 damage, but it did 2 for me last time. 2 damage. Basically, if your whole party's screwed, use this to get out. Next up is Flesh to Stone, and this spell is so good. Atrophy a foe, restraining them until they temporarily turn to stone. So when they're restrained, they're not going to be able to move as they begin to petrify over the course of 3 turns. Attack rolls against it will have advantage. Their attack rolls and dexterity saving throws have disadvantage. So the target will petrify if it does not succeed its saving throw within 3 turns. So petrify is where they turn to stone. They won't be able to move, take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. Currently, he's at stage 1, so I'll end my turn. He's still able to shoot his bow, unfortunately. Just progressed to stage 2 now. Stage 3. Then after this turn, he'll be permanently turned to stone if he doesn't pass the saving throw. And there it is. He is petrified permanently. I can end my turn as many times as I want. We can't do anything about it. Now there is a flesh to gold version of this spell, but it's a one-time use and it's given to you from an item called the Signed Trade Visa in Act 2. Maybe spoilers, kind of. So if you don't want to hear that, then don't listen, I guess. But basically, you give the tax collector, Garengoth Thorm, I think her name is. You give her 5,000 or more gold when you're prompted to give her all of your money, and she'll give you a scroll that lets you turn somebody into gold. And it doesn't require concentration at all, and it's permanent, so you can basically just remove an enemy from the game entirely. So it's pretty good, but it's a one-time use thing, and you can't learn the scroll as a wizard, as a spell. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have Disintegrate. This will do 50 to 100 force damage. Shoot a thin green ray from your finger. If the 50-100 force damage reduces the target to 0 hit points, it disintegrates into crumbly ash. Let me move back a little bit and give you the full effect here. And yeah, does the job. And that's going to do it for every transmutation spell in Baldur's Gate 3. Check out some of my other spell guide videos. I went over evocation, illusion, and enchantment so far at the time of recording this video. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.